All right, guys. Hello. We're going to do our read aloud for Wonder for today, for Monday, April 6th. And we're still in the section for Via and from her point of view, how things have been going. So in the first part, we heard August's point of view, and now we're going to listen to Via's. And she is at the chapter Trick or Treat. August said he wasn't feeling well enough to go trick-or-treating later in the afternoon, which was sad for him because I know how much he loved to trick-or-treat, especially after it got dark outside. Even though I was well beyond the trick-or-treating stage myself, I usually threw on some mask or other to accompany him up and down the blocks, watching him knocking on people's doors, giddy with excitement. I knew it was the one night a year when he could truly be like every other kid. No one knew he was different under the mask. To August, that must have felt absolutely amazing. At 7 o'clock that night, I knocked on his door. Hey, I said. Hey, he said back. He wasn't using his PlayStation or reading a comic book. He was just lying in his bed looking at the ceiling. Daisy, as always, was next to him on the bed, her head draped over his legs. The bleeding Scream costume was crumpled up on the floor next to the Boba Fett costume. How's your stomach? I said, sitting next to him on the bed. I'm still nauseous. You sure you're not up for the Halloween parade? Positive. This surprised me. Usually August was such a trooper about his medical issues, whether it was skateboarding a few days after a surgery or sipping food through a straw when his mouth was practically bolted shut. This was a kid who's gotten more shots, taken more medicines, put up with more procedures by the age of 10 than most people would have to put up with in 10 lifetimes, and he was sidelined from a little nausea? You want to tell me what's up? I said, sounding a little bit like Mom. No. Is it school? Yes. Teachers? Schoolwork? Friends? He didn't answer. Did someone say something? I asked. People always say something, he answered bitterly. I could tell he was close to crying. Tell me what happened, I said. And he told me what happened. He had overheard some very mean things some boys were saying about him. He didn't care about what the other boys had said. He expected that, but he was hurt that one of the boys was his best friend, Jack Will. I remembered his mentioning Jack a couple of times over the past few months. I remembered Mom and Dad saying he seemed like a really nice kid, saying they were glad August had already made a friend like that. Oh, sometimes kids are stupid, I said softly, holding his hand. I'm sure he didn't mean it. Then why would he say it? He's been pretending to be my friend all along. Trishman probably bribed him with good grades or something. I bet you he was like, hey, Jack, if you make friends with the freak, you don't have to take any tests this year. You know that's not true, August, and don't call yourself a freak. Whatever. I wish I'd never gone to school in the first place. But I thought you were liking it. I hate it. He was angry all of a sudden, punching his pillow. I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. He was shrieking at the top of his lungs. I didn't say anything. I didn't know what to say. He was hurt. He was mad. I let him have a few more minutes of his fury. Daisy started licking the tears off of his face. Come on, Augie, I said, patting his back gently. Why don't you put on your Jango Fett costume and... It's a Boba Fett costume. Why does everyone mix that up? Boba Fett costume, I said, trying to stay calm. I put my arm around his shoulder. Let's just go to the parade, okay? If I go to the parade, Mom will think I'm feeling better and she'll make me go to school tomorrow. Mom would never make you go to school, I answered. Come on, Augie, let's just go. It'll be fun, I promise. And I'll let you have all my candy. He didn't argue. He got out of bed and slowly started pulling on his Boba Fett costume. I helped him adjust the straps and tighten the belt. And by the time he put on his helmet on, I could tell he was feeling better. Time to think. August played up the stomachache the next day so he wouldn't have to go to school. I admit, I felt a little bad for Mom, who was genuinely concerned that he had a stomach bug, but I had promised August I wouldn't tell her about the incident at school. By Sunday, he was still determined not to go back to school. What are you planning on telling Mom and Dad? I asked him when he told me this. They said I could quit whenever I wanted to, he said this while he was still focused on a comic book he was reading. But you've never been the kind of kid who just quits things, I said truthfully. That's not like you. Well, I'm quitting. You're going to have to tell Mom and Dad why, I pointed out, pulling the comic book out of his hands so he'd have to look up at me while we were talking. Then Mom will call the school and everyone will know about it. Will Jack get in trouble? I would think so. Good, said August. I have to admit, August was surprising me more and more. He pulled another comic book off his shelf and started leafing through it. Augie, I said, are you really going to let a couple of stupid kids keep you from going back to school? I know you've been enjoying it. Don't give them that power over you. Don't give them the satisfaction. They have no idea I even heard them, he explained. No, I know, but Via, it's okay. I know what I'm doing. I've made up my mind. But this is crazy, Augie, I said emphatically, pulling the new comic book away from him too. You have to go back to school. Everyone hates school sometimes. I hate school sometimes. I hate my friends sometimes. That's just life, Augie. You want to be treated normally, right? This is normal. We all have to go to school sometimes, despite the fact that we have had bad days, okay? Do people go out of their way to avoid touching you, Via? He answered, which left me momentarily without an answer. Yeah, right. That's what I thought. So don't compare your bad days at school to mine, okay? Okay, that's fair, I said, but it's not a contest about whose days suck the most, Augie. The point is we all have to put up with the bad days. Now, unless you want to be treated like a baby the rest of your life or like a kid with special needs, you just have to suck it up and go. He didn't say anything, but I think that last bit was getting to him. You don't have to say a word to those kids, I continued. August, actually, it's so cool that you know what they said, but they don't know you know what they said, you know? What in the heck, he said. You know what I mean. You don't have to talk to them ever again if you don't want to, and they'll never know why. See? Or you can pretend to be friends with them, but deep down inside you know you're not. Is that how you are with Miranda? He asked. No, I answered quickly, defensively. I never faked my feelings with Miranda. So why are you saying that I should? I'm not. I'm saying you shouldn't let those little jerks get to you, that's all. Like Miranda got to you. Why do you keep bringing Miranda up? I yelled impatiently. I'm trying to talk to you about my friends. Please keep mine out of it. You're not even friends with her anymore. What does that have to do with what you're talking about? The way August was looking at me reminded me of a doll's face. He was just staring at me blankly with his half-closed doll eyes. She called the other day, he said finally. What? I was stunned. And you didn't tell me? Well, she wasn't calling you, he answered, pulling both comic books out of my hands. She was calling me just to say hi, to see how I was doing. She didn't even know I was going to real school now. I can't believe you hadn't even told her. She said the two of you don't hang out as much anymore, but she wanted me to know she'd always loved me like a big sister. Double stunned, stung, flabbergasted. No words formed in my mouth. Well, why didn't you tell me? I said finally. I don't know, he shrugged, opening the first comic book again. Well, I'm telling Mom and Dad about Jack Will if you stop going to school, I answered. Chushman will probably call you into school and make Jack and those other kids apologize to you in front of everyone, and everyone will treat you like a kid who should be going to school for kids with special needs. Is that what you want? Because that's what's going to happen. Otherwise, just go back to school and act like nothing happened. Or if you want to confront Jack about it, fine. But either way, if you... Fine, he interrupted. What? Fine, I'll go, he yelled back, not loudly. Just stop talking about it already. Can I please read my book now? Fine, I answered, turning to leave his room. I thought of something. Did Miranda say anything else about me? He looked up from the comic book and looked right into my eyes. She said to tell you she misses you, quote unquote. I nodded. Thanks, I said casually, too embarrassed to let him see how happy that really made me feel. All right, we're on part 3. This is the chapter or the part where Summer, the girl that August met at the lunchroom, this is her perspective. And her chapter starts with weird kids. Some kids have actually come out and asked me why I hang out with the freak so much. These are kids that don't even know him well. If they knew him, they wouldn't call him that. Because he's a nice kid, I always answer, and don't call him that. You're a saint, Summer, Zamina Chin said to me the other day. I couldn't do what you're doing. It's not a big deal, I answered her truthfully. Did Mr. Tishman ask you to be friends with him? Charlotte Cody asked. No, I'm friends with him because I want to be friends with him, I answered. Who knew that my sitting with August Pullman at lunch would be such a big deal? People acted like it was the strangest thing in the world. It's weird how weird kids can be. I sat with him the first day because I felt sorry for him. That's all. Here he was, this strange-looking kid in a brand-new school. No one was talking to him. Everyone was staring at him. All the girls at my table were whispering about him. He wasn't the only kid at Beecher Prep, but he was the only one everyone was talking about. Julian had nicknamed him the Zombie Kid, and that's what everyone was calling him. Did you see the Zombie Kid yet? Stuff like that was getting around fast, and August knew it. It's hard enough being the new kid, even when you have a normal face. Imagine having his face. So I just went over and sat with him. Not a biggie. I wish people would stop trying to turn it into something major. He's just a kid. The weirdest looking kid I've ever seen, yes, but just a kid. The plague. I do admit August's face takes some getting used to. I've been sitting with him for 2 weeks now, and let's just say he's not the neatest eater in the world, but other than that, he's pretty nice. I should also say that I don't really feel sorry for him anymore. That might have been what made me sit down with him at the first time, but it's not why I keep sitting down with him. I keep sitting down with him because he's fun. One of the things I'm not loving about this year is how a lot of kids are acting like they're too grown up to play things anymore. All they want to do is hang out and talk at recess. And all they talk about now is who likes who and who is cute and who isn't cute. August doesn't bother about that stuff. He likes to play Foursquare at recess, which I love to play too. It was actually because I was playing Foursquare with August that I found out about the plague. Apparently, this is a game that's been going on since the beginning of the school year. Anyone who accidentally touches August has only 30 seconds to wash their hands or find hand sanitizer before they catch the plague. I'm not sure what happens to you if you actually catch the plague because nobody's touched August yet. Well, not directly. How I found out about this is that Maya Markowitz told me that the reason she won't play Foursquare with us at recess is that she doesn't want to catch the plague. I was like, what's the plague? And she told me. I told Maya I thought that was really dumb, and she agreed, but she still wouldn't touch a ball that August just touched, not if she could help it. The Halloween party. I was really excited because I got an invitation to Savannah's Halloween party. Savannah is probably the most popular girl in the school. All the boys like her. All the girls want to be friends with her. She was the first girl in the grade to actually have a boyfriend. It was some kid who goes to MS 281. Though she dumped him and started dating Henry Joplin, which makes sense because the two of them look totally like teenagers already. Anyway, even though I'm not in the popular group, I somehow got invited, which is very cool. When I told Savannah I got her invitation and would be going to her party, she was really nice to me, though she made sure to tell me that she didn't invite a lot of people, so I shouldn't go around bragging to anyone that I got invited. Maya didn't get invited, for instance. Savannah also made sure to tell me not to wear a costume. It's good she told me because, of course, I would have worn a costume to a Halloween party, not the unicorn costume I had made for Halloween parade, but the goth girl setup that I'd worn to school. But even that was a no-no for Savannah's party. The only negative about my going to Savannah's party was that now I wouldn't be able to go to the parade, and the unicorn costume would be wasted. That was kind of a bummer, but okay. Anyway, the first thing that happened when I got to her party was that Savannah greeted me at the door and asked, "Where's your boyfriend, Summer?" I didn't even know what she was talking about. "I guess he doesn't have to wear a mask at Halloween, right?" she added. And then I knew she was talking about August. "He's not my boyfriend," I said. "I know, I'm just kidding." She kissed my cheek. All the girls in her group kissed each other's cheeks now whenever they said hello, and threw my jacket on a coat rack in her hallway. Then she took me by the hand down the stairs to her basement, which is where the party was. I didn't see her parents anywhere. There were about 15 kids there. All of them were popular kids from either Savannah's group or Julian's group. I guess they've all kind of merged into one big supergroup of popular kids, now that some of them have started dating each other. I didn't even know there were so many couples. I mean, I knew about Savannah and Henry, but Zamina and Miles and Ellie and Amos? Ellie's practically as young as I am. Anyway, about 5 minutes after I got there, Henry and Savannah were standing next to me, literally hovering over me. So, we want to know why you hang out with the zombie kids so much, said Henry. He's not a zombie. I laughed like they were making a joke. I was smiling, but I didn't feel like smiling. You know, Summer, said Savannah, you would be a lot more popular if you didn't hang out with him so much. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Julian likes you. He wants to ask you out. He does? Do you think he's cute? Yeah, I guess he's cute. So you have to choose who you want to hang out with, Savannah said. She was talking to me like a big sister would talk to a little sister. Everyone likes you, Summer. Everyone thinks you're really nice and that you're really, really pretty. You could totally be part of our group if you wanted to, and believe me, there are a lot of girls in our grade who would love that. I know, I said. Thank you. You're welcome, she answered. You want me to tell Julian to come and talk to you? I looked over to where she was pointing and could see Julian looking over at us. Um, actually, I need to go to the bathroom. Where's that? I went to where she pointed, sat down on the side of the bathtub, and called my mom and asked her to come pick me up. Is everything okay? Said Mom. Yeah, I just don't want to be here, I said. Mom didn't ask any more questions and said she'd be there in 10 minutes. Don't ring the bell, I told her. Just call me when you're outside. I hung out in the bathroom until Mom called, and then I snuck upstairs without anyone seeing me, got my jacket, and went outside. It was only 9:30. The Halloween parade was in full swing down Amesfort Avenue. Huge crowds everywhere. Everyone was in costume. Skeletons, pirates, princesses, vampires, superheroes, but not one unicorn. All right, we're going to read one more chapter. November. The next day at school, I told Savannah I had eaten some really bad Halloween candy and gotten sick, which is why I just went home early from our party. And she believed me. There was actually a stomach bug going around, so it was a good lie. I also told her that I had a crush on someone else that wasn't Julian, so she would leave me alone about that and hopefully spread the word to Julian that I wasn't interested. She, of course, wanted to know who I had a crush on, and I told her it was a secret. August was absent the day after Halloween, and when he came back, I could tell something was up with him. He was acting so weird at lunch. He barely said a word and kept looking down at his food when I talked to him, like he wouldn't even look me in the eye. Finally, I was like, Augie, is everything okay? Are you mad at me or something? No, he said. Sorry you weren't feeling well on Halloween. I kept looking for Boba Fett in the hallways. Yeah, I was sick. Did you have that stomach bug? Yeah, I guess. He opened a book and started to read, which was kind of rude. I'm so excited about the Egyptian Museum project, I said. Aren't you? He shook his head, his mouth full of food. I actually looked away because between the way he was chewing, which almost seemed like he was being gross on purpose, and the way his eyes were just kind of closed, I was getting a really bad vibe from him. What project did you get? I asked. He shrugged, pulled out a little scrap of paper from his jeans pocket and flicked it across the table to me. Everyone in the grade got assigned an Egyptian artifact to work on for Egyptian Museum Day, which was in December. The teachers wrote all the assignments down on tiny scraps of paper, which they put into a fishbowl, and then all of us kids in the grade took turns picking the paper out of the fishbowl in assembly. So I unfolded Augie's little slip of paper. Oh, cool, I said, maybe a little overexcited because I was trying to get him psyched up. You got the step pyramid of Saqqara? I know, he said. I got Anubis, the god of the afterlife. The one with the dog head, he said. It's actually a jackal head, I corrected him. Hey, you want to start working on our projects together after school? You could come over to my house. He put his sandwich down and leaned back in his chair. I can't even describe the way he was giving me a look. You know, Summer, he said, you don't have to do this. What are you talking about? I asked. You don't have to be friends with me. I know Tushman talked to you. I have no idea what you are talking about. You don't have to pretend, is all I'm saying. I know Mr. Tushman talked to some kids before school started and told them they had to be friends with me. He didn't talk to me, August. Yeah, he did. No, he did not. Yeah, he did. No, he didn't. I swear on my life. I put my hands up in the air so he could see I wasn't crossing my fingers. He immediately looked down at my feet, so I shook off my Uggs so he could see my toes weren't crossed. You're wearing tights, he said accusingly. You can see my toes are flat, I yelled. Okay, you don't have to scream. Well, I don't like being accused of things, okay? Okay, I'm sorry. You should be. He really didn't talk to you? Augie! Okay, I'm really sorry. I would have stayed mad at him longer, but then he told me about something bad that had happened to him on Halloween, and I couldn't stay mad at him anymore. Basically, he heard Jack bad-mouthing him and saying really horrible things behind his back. It kind of explained his attitude, and now I knew why he had been sick. Promise me you won't tell anyone, he said. I won't, I nodded. Promise you won't ever be mean like that to me again? Promise, he said, and we pinky swore. All right, I think we'll stop there for today, and we'll pick up with warning. This kid is rated R. All right, guys, thank you for listening with me, and continue reading. Make sure you're filling out your Roaring Readers calendar if you want to get that turned in, and I will see you in the morning with our lesson and another read aloud.